Luckily, I'm at the 10th level of the Dao Yuan realm, so I have a very strong power. I managed to fuse them in one go. Xianxia looked at the dark golden crystal ball. Just as he was about to condense the pill, he used the Dao Heart Eye to look at Xiaoyan's pill furnace. He discovered that there were 5 balls of intense light emitting from Xiaoyan's pill furnace, like a scorching sun. This woman has great pill refining skills as well. It seems like her quality is much better than mine. Xianxia also used his Dao Heart Eye to look at the crystal ball in his pill furnace. The light was actually not as bright as the one in Xiaoyan's furnace. There's still a lot of time left. I can still clash once more. Xianxia suddenly felt a huge pressure. The other party's level was truly high. He was curious what method Xiaoyan used to actually raise it to such a high quality in such a short amount of time, and without any sound at that. Could it be her pill furnace? Or is it because of the cultivation technique she's cultivating? Xianxia could only guess that he had already split the crystal ball into 8 groups. Then, he activated the strongest Daoyuan immortal power and used it, causing the 8 lumps of crystals to crash into the pill furnace like 8 meteorites. Rumble, rumble, rumble. This time, the commotion was even louder, and the tall building that was the Eternal Life Native Bank was shaken. Everyone was extremely shocked. What exactly happened inside Xianxia's pill furnace? I wonder if he has a Dan. Xianxia looked at the things that he rammed into. Those were extremely high-quality crystals, and were extremely sturdy. The last time he had refined a pill with Dangu, the quality was extremely high. The last time he refined it, he had also used the crystal to collide with it. There's still an hour left. I can still make another collision. Xianxia had already went through 2 collisions before, and the third one was extremely dangerous. Once he lost control of it, this furnace of his would fail and he would lose. Xianxia did not use Dao Heart Eye to look at Xiaoyan's pill furnace, but instead focused on pill refining. He split the lump of golden crystal that he had just condensed into 8 parts, and prepared to make his third attempt. Xiaoyan frowned as she looked at Xianxia. She did not know what Xianxia was doing, but such a commotion did not fail her. Of course, she was very confident in herself. She seemed to have a secret technique that allowed her to concoct higher quality pills. The third collision, go all out. Xianxia clenched his teeth and transformed the Daoyuan immortal power into 8 parts of meteor immortal power, pouring them into the 8 pieces of crystal, then violently clashing with it. This time, there was no explosion, which surprised Xianxia. However, the moment they clashed, the Xianxia God furnace actually burst out with a wave of qi, causing everyone around to be blown back. What was shocking was that Xianxia's furnace was trembling slightly, and every time it trembled, it would release a burst of qi. Oh no, I've lost control. Xianxia was shocked. He immediately used all his strength to control it. If not, he would fail. If all went well, the pill furnace would now be very stable and would no longer emit that kind of power. Xiaoyan opened his eyes once again and looked at Xianxia. What are you doing? Don't you know it's dangerous? Isn't everything all right now? Xianxia replied. At the moment, he was perspiring profusely and his expression was grave. Xianxia, admit defeat. You must have failed long ago. Stop wasting your time. Even after a few incidents, it doesn't seem like you are forging pills at all. He was also a relatively high-level alchemist, so he naturally understood that, in a situation like this happening in the pill furnace, there must have been a huge accident. None of your business, Xianxia said with a sneer. On the third collision, that kind of unforeseen event was too intense. Even the sound was erased by the energy. If the Xianxia God furnace did not have a natural barrier to block off most of the energy waves, most of the people who were watching would have been washed away by the energy and the third floor would also have been destroyed. At this moment, there was only a fist-sized crystal inside the pill furnace, and there was a large ball of white mist outside. Begin core formation. Xianxia placed the 6 realms mirrors into the bottom of the furnace. It would not be easy to shrink this kind of crystal into a pill. He had to rely on the 6 realms mirrors. Time flew by quickly, and just as there were still a few moments left until the end of the 2 hours, Xiaoyan opened his pill furnace and took out 5 golden Dao marked Dennis Everyone was shocked, especially the alchemist. They started to discuss whether this was a Dao marked Dan, and how could it be like this. Ning Quan was very proud, because he knew that this was an extremely high-quality Dao marked Dan. If he lightly touched it, this Dao marked Dan would shimmer like the stars. Even with such high quality, he was still able to refine 5 pills. Brother Ning, your junior master is so strong. Xianxia should have definitely lost. Huang Tian was also shocked. There were very few Dao marked Dans that could produce pills, but this Xiaoyan could actually refine 5 of such high-quality pills. Xianxia also felt a lot of pressure. For the other party to produce so many pills of this quality, if it was a normal quality, more pills would come out. Hurry up! You don't have much time left, Huang Tian said. He was purposely adding pressure on Xianxia. But Xianxia did not do it. Although he looked extremely nervous and perspiring profusely, he was doing it very steadily. An old man from Eternal Life Native Bank took out a quality testing tool. It was a very small formation plate with a pit in the middle of the formation plate. Next, there was a crystal square plate beside the plate that displayed numbers. How high can the quality test instrument be? Xie Chaoyan asked. There's no limit. You can measure however high you want. The old man smiled and took out a Dao marked Dan. This was the most common high-quality Dao marked Dan. When this Dao marked Dan was placed in the pit at the center of the formation plate, it showed 150 points of quality. This kind of quality is considered high quality. Generally speaking, 100 is already quite good, the old man said. At this time, Huang Tian took out the Dao marked Dan that he refined and placed it on top. The quality of his Dao marked Dan looked good, but after placing it on top, it was only 130. Martial uncle, test your 5 pills, Ning Quan said. He wanted Xie Chaoyan to test him to ensure that the quality was high, which would also increase the psychological pressure on Xianxia. However, Xie Chaoyan did not. She was waiting for Xianxia, and from the looks of it, her character was pretty good, and she was not willing to take advantage of him. Everyone also felt that Xianxia was strange. After making so much noise over and over again, he still hadn't exploded. They were surprised that Xianxia's pill furnace did not get blown to smithereens. When the 2 hours were almost up, Xianxia had already succeeded in condensing a pill. What troubled him the most was that this pill looked really weak. The first one was not round enough, it was oval in shape, and it was a bit flat. The second was that the surface was bumpy and rough. In the end, the color was not too good. It looked like a rock that was found by the roadside. It was a grayish-yellow color. Damn it! Just because it's not good doesn't mean it's low quality. This is the first time I've refined it with 3 dashes, so the quality is definitely very high. Xianxia opened the pill furnace and everyone opened their eyes wide, watching him take out the Dao marked Dan. Xianxia also wasn't confident anymore, because he only had 1 pellet, and it was not looking good either. On the other hand, Xie Chaoyan had 5 dazzling golden pellets, flickering like stars in the sky. When everyone saw this pill, they couldn't help but laugh. How is this a pill? It's like a moldy bean. Huang Tian laughed out loud. To be able to use Dao marked Dan's medicine to refine it to this extent, I'm impressed by you. This isn't something that anyone can refine. Is one of the 10 great alchemists of 3 Lives Native Bank and also the only woman there. That's right, that's right. She seems to be at Dan God list of 8 Wastelands' 13th place. Yeah, but it's not bad. There are only 30 people in Dan God list of 8 Wastelands. Ning Quan laughed. Martial uncle, you have one for sure. 3 billion jade monies should be very easy to earn. Xianxia said. Let's begin the evaluation. Ning Quan laughed coldly. Is there even a need to test it? No matter how you look at it. I know that broken bean of yours is useless. You've lost for sure. So hurry up and give me 5 billion. Do it according to the rules. Quality is a must. Xianxia said resolutely. Xie Chaoyan did not say much and walked over to the old man's side. Xianxia then walked over and looked at her. Watch carefully. This is the first pill, Xie Chaoyan said coldly, then took out 1 pellet and placed it into the pit at the center of the disc. After putting it down, a number appeared on the crystal square. 1,800. Huang Tian, who was at the side, shouted in alarm. Xie Chaoyan's expression was still ice-cold. Although this quality was very scary, she didn't think much of it. I heard that the last time you did so, you only reached the maximum of 1,500. It seems like entering the top 10 of Dan God list of 8 wastelands will not be a problem for you. Ning Quan laughed. There were a few alchemists present who could not understand even after thinking about it. The abandoned Dao Mark Dan in the hands of Xie Chaoyan could actually refine 1,800 grade Dao Mark Dan. Moreover, she still had 4 pills that she hadn't tested. The second pill, Xie Chaoyan said, 1,800. The third, fourth, and fifth pills were also equivalent to 1,800 pills. The quality and control of the pills was astonishing. The total quality of my martial uncle is 9,000. Ning Quan looked at Xianxia and mocked. I would really like to see how good your lousy bean is. It was already good to have a quality. Xianxia, now do you know how arrogant you are? Huang Tian laughed. It's fine to lose after all, to be able to compete with the alchemist above. Losing is not funny. The results haven't come out yet. Xianxia was very confident in himself. Holding the Dao Mark Dan in his hand, he could clearly feel the strong power contained within it. He placed the pill on the plate and its quality soon showed up. The moment he came out, everyone could not believe it. It was actually 11,300. The entire arena was sunk into silence. They could only hear Xianxia exhaling deeply. She had competed with many alchemists on the rankings before, but there had never been a single pellet that had exceeded 10,000 in quality. At most, it had only been one pellet with 3,000 to 4,000 quality, but Xianxia had surpassed 10,000. I won, Xianxia said indifferently. Don't judge a person by his appearance. This pill is the same, although it is not easy to look at, but you all have to admit that the quality is very high. How did you refine it? Xie Chaoyan asked. Secret. Xianxia smiled lightly. I'll sell 100 million jade money to you. Do you want them? Yes. After Xie Chaoyan finished speaking, he threw 100 million jade money to Xianxia and then picked up Xianxia's pellet of Dao Mark Dan and ate it. Xianxia looked at Ning Quan and laughed. Give me my 5 billion. Ning Quan had yet to react when he looked at Xie Chaoyan and asked, Senior Master, is this true? Did he really win? Xie Chaoyan swallowed a piece of Dao Mark Dan. His eyebrows knitted together. It's true. Give the jade money to him. You. Humph. Seeing Xianxia's pleased expression, Ning Quan was very unhappy in his heart. Thank you. The feeling of earning 5 billion jade money in 2 hours is fucking great. Xianxia laughed out loud. Your pill isn't perfect enough. Xie Chaoyan suddenly said. That's right. This is the first time I've tried such a dangerous refining technique and I've lost control. That's why I've become like this. Thus, this pellet is a failed product. Although it is a failed product, it is more than enough to win against you. Xianxia said while grinning, looking extremely arrogant. Take this. Xie Chaoyan threw a golden pill to Xianxia. What is this? Is it edible? Xianxia looked and asked. You can't eat it. This is Dan God list of 8 wastelands' recommended divine pill. I gave you this pill to challenge Dan God list of 8 wastelands. With this pill, as long as you go challenge any pill god in Dan God list of 8 wastelands, they won't be able to reject you. Xie Qianhan said. Why did you give it to me? Xianxia asked. Don't you understand? You can challenge me now with the pill here, but you have to follow the rules of the Dan God list of 8 wastelands. As long as you defeat me, you can replace me in the rankings of the Dan God list of 8 wastelands. Xie Qianhan said. But I'm not ready yet, and right now I can only refine Wanjie Dan, so it's better if I don't. I'm not interested in that Dan God list of 8 wastelands. After Xianxia finished speaking, he pulled Yang Xiangyin and was about to leave. Hold on. She thought that Xianxia would challenge her, and she really wanted to compete with Xianxia once again, because she was not willing to lose to Xianxia just now. No one expected Xianxia to be so arrogant. His actions did not make sense. You can't leave. I want to compete with you again, Xie Chaoyan said. I'm very tired now, so I'm going back to sleep. Next time. Xianxia laughed. All right, if you want to challenge me, Then come find me in Three Lives City. I'm at the Xie clan manor in Three Lives City, Xianxia said. After a period of time, the three great cities built by the three great native bank will all be together. At that time, it will be very easy for you to go to Three Lives City. Got it. Xiang casually replied as she dragged Yang Xiangyin and left in a hurry. It was not that Xiang did not want to compete with them, but he was truly exhausted. Furthermore, he knew that he was unable to control the three crash with his own power, which was why he was able to refine that incomplete Dao Mark Dan from before. If he were to spar with Xie Chaoyan again, he would definitely lose. I have to hide in this period of time. If I win against such a famous woman, there will definitely be a lot of alchemists coming to challenge me. Xiang returned to the Immortal restaurant and laid on a couch, looking at the divine recommendation pill that Xie Chaoyan gave him. Xiang understood this principle. With his current fame, it meant that he had stirred up a lot of trouble, and before he gained enough power, he did not want to continue on like this. So at night, he quietly left the Eternal Life City, and after a few days of time, he returned to the Hundreds of Flowers village. He handed over the cultivation method for the Qingyuan Dan to Su Meiyao and the others, and then went to find Long Juxiao. Long Juxiao did a good job here. He was originally a very straightforward person, and was also strong, grasping all sorts of powerful people. Xianxia and the other girls often came to him to ask him for guidance on equipment forging and setting up arrays, and Zhou Zonghai had already become Long Juxiao's adopted son. Xiang was waiting for him in the living room of the Dragon Clan. Looks like you're about to condense your Dao pill. It's pretty fast. Long Juxiao laughed. He had just returned from the outside world and was still dressed in his armor. It seemed like he had participated in battles before. Senior Long, is there anything powerful around here? You actually have to do it yourself. Xiang asked in surprise. Of course not. This is the most useless place in the southern wasteland. Luckily, there are a lot of pills from the Hundreds of Flowers village. Long Juxiao laughed. I am just going to take a look at the earth core with them. We are preparing to create a dragon vein. Only if we have enough Dao Qi will we be able to improve faster. Long Juxiao was extremely grateful to Xiang. On one hand, Xiang had cured him of that strange poison, and on the other hand, Xiang had allowed him to find a very large number of dragons. From Su Meiyao and the others, he found out that in order to prevent the dragons from being poisoned again, their pill refining team had refined a special type of pill that could prevent the poison from being poisoned. Therefore, Long Juxiao was no longer afraid of the black dragon flower poison anymore. Will it work? I never thought that big chaotic times would actually have a core of the earth, just I wonder if the core of the earth is powerful. Xiang laughed. The heart of the earth is in chaos. That place is where earthly beasts run rampant. From what I see, when the world is split into many worlds, it will be because of the core of the earth. Long Juxiao laughed. The earth's core here is already very chaotic. If you guys were to merge with the earth's core from that era, you can imagine. So did you get into the center of the earth? Xiang asked anxiously. No, but we've opened up a path and can release a very strong heat wave. We covered that passage with a few special formation discs and they can transform the heat wave into a very dense Dao Qi. Soon, the Dao Qi in this place will become very dense. Long Juxiao said. Senior, do you know anything about the three great native banks? Xiang came to find Long Juxiao to ask him about this. Of course I know, I was once a great general of the native bank. I am from there. Long Juxiao sighed. My crafting skills were learned in the Eternal Life Native Bank. It was only because I made a mistake that I was chased out, and when I returned to the dragon race, I became the lord of one side. The power of the three native banks was much stronger than he had imagined, to actually let Long Juxiao do things inside. Eternal Life Native Bank, Three Lives Native Bank, and Life Native Bank are all very mysterious. Even now, I still don't quite understand their existences, but I do know that they are all very powerful and control the entire wasteland. The wasteland is able to operate in an orderly manner and there aren't any large disturbances. Long Juxiao said. Even you don't know? Xiang had thought that Long Juxiao would know something. I have refined jade money in the past, so I don't know much about it. I only know that they existed since a long time ago, because I was considered one of the earlier money refiners. At that time, the 3 native banks were also just established not long ago. Long Zhouxiao said, "At least, undead divine race won't dare to find trouble with these 3 native banks." Xianxia frowned. "That's strange. Why did these 3 strong and powerful forces not appear in our era? This should continue." "I don't know either. I think even those natural law divine spirits don't know about this matter." Long Zhouxiao said, "Why are you asking this? You offended these 3 native banks?" "Not really." Chun Xiang told Long Zhouxiao about the Eternal Life City. "I already knew about the existence of the Eternal Life City, but because I did something wrong and could not go in unless I gave 10 billion jade monies, I did not join in on the fun. I did not expect that it would finally be open to the Southern Wasteland, and in the entire wasteland, the Southern Wasteland is relatively weaker, but this is also good, at least no one can threaten us here." Long Zhouxiao said. The Southern Wasteland was very weak. It was not the first time Xianxia had heard of it. Even the Eternal Life City was just opened up here, and not many people could enter the Southern Wasteland. If it's a big city built jointly by the 3 native banks, then it would be very safe inside. At least we wouldn't need to worry about being chased and killed by the undead divine race. Long Zhouxiao said, "I heard that there are many good things to sell inside." The Eternal Life City was quite big. Xianxia had not finished strolling around, and he had not paid much attention to this either. Xianxia brought back the Qingyuandan's pill formulas and ingredients this time, which would definitely allow the people here to improve their strength quickly. As long as they could improve to a certain degree, Xianxia would not have to worry about this place. At that time, the Hundreds of Flowers Village's pill refining team would also be able to cooperate and concoct those high-leveled pills to sell, earning the jade money. Xianxia had stayed in the Hundreds of Flowers Village for more than 10 days, allowing Yang Xiangyin to get familiar with those girls, and also allowing her to pass down her zither arts. Naturally, Yang Xiangyin was very willing. Every time he returned, he would have to take care of those delicate and beautiful women of his. Roughly half a month like this, Chun Xiang brought Yang Xiangyin and the 2 female slaves to the Eternal Life City. He was now at the 10th level of Dao Yuan realm. When he used spatial teleportation, he could teleport even further, so it also shortened the amount of time he had to go back and forth. If you teleport 3 more times, you will be at Demon Forest. Chun Xiang calculated the distance and then used teleportation. The moment he used it, he suddenly felt space being sealed. While he was shocked, he used the power of the White Tiger Dao Mark to jump through space, smoothly jumping out of the spatial seal. "Wait! I mean no harm!" Suddenly, someone shouted. Chun Xiang was very familiar with this voice. He vaguely remembered that this was the natural law divine spirit. Back then, when he followed that group of evil spirit race, he had met this natural law divine spirit on the road, which was why Chun Xiang had an impression of him. Natural law divine spirit was also shocked by Chun Xiang's power, to think that she could actually jump out of the spatial seal he had released. "You are the natural law divine spirit?" Chun Xiang immediately asked. "You can't use the spatial seal? I'm most afraid of that." "Obviously, you're not afraid at all." Natural law divine spirit appeared as a white-robed senior. Chun Xiang had seen him last time. "You actually know that I am a natural law divine spirit? You are really capable." The natural law divine spirit laughed bitterly. "Natural law divine spirit is too weak. To think that you would be reduced to such a sorry state by evil spirit race and that undead divine race." Chun Xiang snorted. He looked down upon natural law divine spirit. Natural law divine spirit and the divine gods above him all ran back to big chaotic times and left this mess behind. Chun Xiang felt extremely displeased when he thought back to it. The natural law divine spirit said with a wry smile, "I am only in charge of governing the various divine races. I am indeed not very strong. I even more did not expect that the fusion of the evil spirit race and undead divine race's bloodlines would make me so strong. By the time I reacted, we no longer had the power to resist them. Back then, when all races were discussing together, they planned to throw this mess back into this era and let the experts of this era settle it." Chun Xiang listened seriously. He wanted to know what happened. "And then? You guys have not succeeded in merging the 2 eras. I was the one who did this." Xianxia said. That's right, we failed. This matter is mainly due to the responsibility of the time god, and reversing the flow of time and merging the two eras. This matter originally went against the law, and the time god was also heavily restricted by the law of time, so even though he did not succeed, he could only send us, the gods and all the races, back to this era. Natural law divine spirit said. I originally thought that we would come back to think of a way, but I didn't expect that the divine spirit would actually die in the only time we could think of it. Is there only one time God? Xianxia asked. If these divine beings had their own difficulties, then it would be understandable. Yes, the time god was the only one who went from big chaotic times all the way to the age of star arts. Besides that, there was also the undead divine race. Undead divine race was also a guy who had experienced many eras. And we gods are born from the future. Back then, when the heavenly Tao was set up, there was only a single divine spirit of time. The natural law divine spirit nodded. Doesn't that mean those old fellows from the undead divine race have returned to this era? That means there are two of them. Xianxia frowned. That's not it. Big chaotic times' time is a little special. And in the setting of the heavenly Tao, undead divine race is very special as well. As long as they don't die, they won't be able to exist in the past, so when I return to the past, there aren't any traces of them. The natural law divine spirit said. The undead divine race possess eternal life, but they also have a weakness, and that is, there is a limit to their strength. They aren't like you human beasts who can continuously break through their limits. This point is in order to restrain the undead divine race from ruling the entire world. And then, they seem to have broken through this limit. Xianxia said. That's right, it's because they had fused with the evil spirit race, which is why they made such a mistake. The natural law divine spirit side. What is the heavenly Tao? Xianxia asked. It is the existence that caused all of this. He is an illusory existence, and the laws of power and the laws of operation here are all carried out under his power. The natural law divine spirit said. Then what do we do now? The undead divine race has a loophole. Xianxia shrugged his shoulders. This kind of thing can only be solved by the heavenly Tao. Natural law divine spirit sighed, shook his head and said, the heavenly Tao would not care about these things, he might not even know about it, and the reason why he created us deities is to manage this heavenly Tao, and fixing such errors is also the reason for my existence. Xianxia laughed. But you didn't succeed. Natural law divine spirit nodded his head helplessly. I failed. If not for you, the age of star law would have been unimaginable. I have to thank you for this. You are indeed very capable. With your weak strength, you were actually able to fuse the two eras together. I'm just trying to save myself. Xianxia spread out his hands. Then what about the three great native banks? They seem to be even stronger existences, and were probably not weaker than evil spirit race and undead divine race, right? I heard that even the undead divine race do not dare to offend them. The existence of these three great native banks was also a mistake. They were exterminated at the very end of the big chaotic times, and it was also at that time that the entire wasteland began to split apart. Then we'll enter the era of the 3000 major worlds, the era of the initial stars, and finally the era of star mantra. The natural law divine spirit said, but it should be different now because the fusion of the first and last generation will definitely change the way things go in the future. But you still haven't told me why they're so powerful. Xianxia asked. He really wanted to know what was going on. The managers of the three great native banks are all people like me. Their existences were all there for the order of the world, so they had things like jade money, so they were very strong. As for why they were killed later on, it was because they were getting stronger and stronger, and because the heavens wanted to balance, they separated the desolate land, causing the desolate land to fall into a state of destruction. Xianxia thought for a while, then asked, then what about now? Will the heavens path still attack us again? But he didn't, and I don't know the reason why, but in short, the three great native banks' fates won't be like before, and they will continue to develop. This is a good thing for us because it can restrict mutated undead divine race and evil spirit race. This is the equivalent of balance, and it might also be the reason why the heavenly Tao does not act anymore. The natural law divine spirit said. The more Xianxia thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. This seemed to be a game. Then why are you looking for me? Xianxia asked. I just came to thank you. The natural law divine spirit laughed. Then how are you going to thank me? Xianxia snickered. Don't worry about that. I know you have a lot of good things on your hands, so the things I've prepared this time are very sincere. Natural law divine spirit was sincerely grateful to Xianxia, because Xianxia had allowed this natural law world to be on the balance. As long as they could balance, their group of gods and their divine species would not be threatened by the threat of life. Xianxia urged her. Quickly show me. Natural law divine spirit laughed and said, Don't worry. This thing is a bit special. Xianxia patiently waited for a while, and only saw natural law divine spirit taking out a well. This is the Creator's well, and inside it is the Creator's spring. You are the alchemist, so this is most suitable for you. With this thing you can grow medicinal herbs as fast as grass. Natural law divine spirit hurriedly said, Quickly put it in your own divine sense sea world. Only in divine sense sea world will this thing be useful. Xianxia immediately took it and threw it into the divine sense sea world, placing it on a patch of grass. If you need the Creator's spring, you only need to circulate your Tao energy to enter it. Natural law divine spirit said. As for the effect, you will know after trying it yourself. Natural law divine spirit, do you know where the everlasting mountain is? And I have someone I know over at the Violet Yuan Mountain. After merging with them, I won't be able to find them. Xianxia asked. Right, there's also the 9 heaven world. They should have already fused into the group, right? That's easy to do. I made a map, and it's something that only exists when 2 generations have fused together. The markings on it are very clear. Take a look for yourself. Natural law divine spirit threw a jade plate to Xianxia. All right, I still have things to do. Right now you are still weak, so it would be best for you to not cause so much trouble. Undead divine race has already suspected that you killed one of their descendants. With that, the natural law divine spirit disappeared. This guy, I still have something to ask. Xianxia curled his lips. He still wanted to ask about the relationship between Huang Profound and Fire Reverend School. Chu Hongqing and Yang Xiangyin, who were inside the ring, knew about the conversation between Xianxia and Natural Law Divine Spirit, and were secretly surprised at the mysteriousness of this world. Of course, they had even more respect for Xianxia now. Doing something like this would change the fate of the entire world. Xiangyin Hongqing, you two come out first. Xianxia shouted, and they came out. I want to fuse the ring with my divine sense sea world. Xianxia laughed. From now on, you all will be in my small world. I'll try and see if it's okay. The inside of the ring was originally a space, and Xianxia was the one who was proficient in space the most. At this moment, he was using his own spatial energy to transfer everything inside the ring to his divine sense sea world. His divine sense sea world was already the real world, and that was when he entered the Tao Ti realm. Not long after, he successfully merged with the divine sense sea world and spirit demon ring. After Chu Hongqing and Yang Xiangyin entered the ring, they did not feel any changes. It was just that there was an additional well beside the farm. This well was the creation god well that natural law divine spirit had given him just now. Xianxia looked at his own Yuyao Dao mark and sighed. It's a pity that this Yuyao Dao mark won't be of much use anymore. With just a thought, his own body would be able to enter his divine sense sea world and disappear from the world. Xianxia came in to see how powerful the creation god spring was. This is the creation divine spring. It looks no different from ordinary water, but it's cool and comfortable to the touch. Yang Xiangyin reached out her jade hand to touch the clear spring water. Hongqing, what did you plant on the ground? Asked. He had just seen Chu Hongqing throwing many seeds in a field, and those were not spirit seeds. This plot of land is the blue flower seeds of the Qingyuan Dan, and this section is the fruit core of the mighty origin fruit. They are all seeds. Since that old man said that the creation god spring is so powerful, then of course I'll give it a try. Chu Hongqing laughed. Elder sister Xiangyin, quickly water them. Yang Xiangyin nodded with a light smile, and poured out the barrel of world god's spring water. Not long after, Xianxia saw many seedlings growing from the ground. All of them were small blue sprouts. These were from the cyan flower. So fast! At this rate, it will not be long before many flowers are planted. Chu Hongqing shouted in pleasant surprise, and then also ran over and took a bucket of water from the creator's well to water the other plot of land. Blue saplings quickly grew on that piece of land. It was the Qing Yuan fruit tree. This speed was indeed very fast. Soon after, Yang Xiangyin and Chu Hongqing continued to draw water to water the plants, but did not continue growing them. Growth also requires a period of time. It's impossible for it to mature immediately. It should be that as long as it is watered once, it will automatically grow to maturity. Xianxia said, "You guys can grow some other things. I'll go to Eternal Life City to see if I can buy good pill formulas." Xianxia still had more than 5 billion jade money in his possession, and he felt that this was enough for him to buy an expensive pill formula. After coming to the demon forest, he gave the elder tree some energy-gathering beads, and exchanged them for some Dao Mark Dan medicinal ingredients. Although he did not need them right now, the energy-gathering beads were things he could casually procure, and with that, he could exchange for a large amount of Dao Mark Dan medicinal ingredients. He once again returned to the Eternal Life City. At this time, half a day had already passed, and Chu Hongqing and Yang Xiangyin were extremely excited outside the Yuyao Palace because the cyan flower and the Qing Yuan fruit tree had grown a little. After returning to the Immortal Deity restaurant, he ate 2 Qingyuan Dan and started to cultivate. He was about to enter the Dao Dan realm. The Dao Dan realm needed to gather all of the divine deity together. Xianxia didn't know whether or not it would affect his bones after it was gathered, because the bones in his eyes and head were both extremely important. When he finished cultivating, he realized that all of his divine deity had gathered together, and even the divine deity in the second divine sense had fused with the divine deity of the first divine sense. Although it had been fused, he could still feel the different types of divine deity inside it. Even though the divine deity of the 2 divine senses had been fused into a small pellet, there wasn't any huge change. The bones had not completely fused with the spirit pellet. It was just that the spirit pellet had already entered, and the spirit pellet could release a strong Daoyuan immortal power into the spirit pellet at any time. The spirit pellet would become even stronger. This is the power of the Dao Dan realm. Feels great. Xianxia clenched his fists tightly, allowing the Daoyuan immortal power to flow into the bones on his arms. The shaking power made him feel very comfortable. Looks like this immortal deity building doesn't suit me well. I can't even do more violent things now. Xianxia really wanted to randomly punch out a few times to test his current strength, but this was not possible in the Immortal restaurant. That was why when he came to Eternal Life Native Bank and asked about buying the house, the old man in charge of selling the house immediately took out a thick stack of paper and placed it on the large round table. Xianxia did not change his appearance. He felt that he would be absolutely safe in the Eternal Life City, and he was not worried that Ning Quan would take revenge on him. When the old man saw Xianxia, he immediately knew that Xianxia was a tycoon. Many people in Eternal Life City knew that Xianxia had just won 5 billion jade money. "Where do you want it?" the old man asked with a smile. "After the 3 major cities have joined together, where would the meeting point be? I think it will no longer be the center, and the place where the 3 cities come together will be the center." Xianxia said he knew that the 3 cities would be connected together, and at that time the place to connect would be the biggest city, and it would be the most prosperous city. "You're right, but not many people know about this." Then he took out a map. "This city is already being built in secret. We're preparing to sell off our shops and estates. Take a look at which region you like the most." So big. 10 big stores, and there were even 10 floors above them. Behind them was a villa. "This place is pretty good." Xianxia pointed to a place on the map. It was not the center of the map, and was even located at the edge of the map. "Here, because this is a rather remote place, and I'm worried that I won't be able to sell it, so I sent a villa. Although the price is cheap, the position isn't too good," the old man said. Xianxia was not interested in the location, but the old man felt that it would be better to be away from the center of the city. Xianxia did not think that way. Rather, he wanted to stay far away from the busy city. "How many jade money?" Xianxia asked. He had already planned to go down to the house and the shop with the villa. 2 billion, the old man said. So expensive. Can you reduce it? Xianxia asked. That's not a small price. This is a very generous price. You have to understand that buying this house is a bonus. For example, you will be very safe inside, and you will also be given all kinds of array formations. In addition, you will also get the jade tablet that will allow you to enter this place at the rate of 20. The old man said. In other words, if I buy this mansion, I can bring 20 people in? Is there no limit? Xianxia asked. This was not bad. There are no restrictions. Of course, if you buy the ones in the middle, you can bring in 100 or 500 people. Of course, the one in the middle would be a bit more expensive. The old man said. I'll buy this place first. Xianxia took out 2 billion jade money. This jade money was something he had won from Ningquan. When can I move in? Xianxia asked again. He couldn't let go of his hands and feet living in the Immortal building. We'll be done in 3 days. We're still in the process of building it. The old man smiled. We will inform you when the time comes. As long as you come here, there will be someone to lead you there. This is the key to enter that mansion, as well as 20 passes. The old man handed over a box to Xianxia. After Xianxia received the invitation, he asked, Who did the 3 great native banks invite in? Are there many of them? Definitely, many big powers will give face to the 3 great native banks. Furthermore, this place is not bad, and we can gather more strong warriors to communicate here. The old man said, Rest assured, we will definitely make you satisfied. Xianxia nodded his head, then asked, This eternal life city does not have any training grounds, although it is very safe inside, but sometimes you will have to move your limbs. Yes. The old man told Xianxia that there was a huge competition on the 5th floor of Eternal Life Native Bank. If he wanted to fight, he could go there. Xianxia went to the 6th floor and asked a woman. He learned that the 1st floor was where the cultivators of the Dao Yuan realm competed, and that the Daodan realm was located. Xianxia arrived at the 8th floor, and this was a battle arena of the 1st to 3rd stages of Daodan realm. There are also people with Dao per realm S. But above that, Xianxia said, This was something Yang Xiangyin did not know either. Hongqing, when I was cultivating the Dao Dan realm, why didn't my bones merge with the Dao pellet? Xianxia asked. You must have remembered incorrectly. When divine deity condenses into a Dao pill, bones condenses into a Dao spirit. However, the divine soul within the bones will be assimilated into the divine pellet. Chu Hongqing said. Too many things have happened recently. I was wrong. Xianxia laughed and then walked towards the stage. Xianxia looked at the people around him. There were more than 200 in total, all of them were Dao Dan Realm S, and some of them were even quite a few levels. However, he had just stepped into the Dao Dan realm, and was a cultivator at the 1st level of the Dao Dan realm. Xianxia understood that if they wanted to fight on the stage, they had to sign a blood contract. They could not injure or kill people. This was a very strict rule. They could only exchange pointers. There were a lot of battle maniacs watching the battle. If not, they would not have come to this place. Xianxia saw that someone was staring at him, and that person was an average-looking man. During the time that Xianxia had come up, he had been keeping an eye on him. Just when Xianxia felt that something was strange, he discovered that there were 2 people not far away talking to each other. Of course, during their battle, it was not just a simple sparring, but a gamble. The loser would have to pay quite a number of jade money. A single gamble with 10 million jade money can be considered a lot. Xianxia heard the 2 discuss the outcome and understood why there would be people staring at him. It seemed like they wanted to duel with him. The reason why Xianxia came here was to see how strong he was after entering the Daodan realm, so he was looking forward to someone challenging him. The man walked over and said softly, Xianxia, right? Xianxia nodded his head. That's right, what can I do for you? The man gave him a friendly smile and asked, What was the Daodan realm level just now? Xianxia answered truthfully, Level 1, I just broke through a bit, so I wanted to try it out. What a pity. I'm at the 2nd level of Daodan realm. The man was a bit disappointed and sighed. What is there to regret? Aren't you a level higher than me? We can give it a try. Since we have nothing better to do, we might as well try. Xianxia laughed. That won't do. You might forge pills often, so you don't know anything about cultivation. In the Dao Dan realm, there is a large difference of 1 level. The man said, Why? I've challenged them before and I've even won. Xianxia was a little confused. Chu Hongqing and Yang Xiangyin had never told him such a thing. That is because you have just stepped into the Dao Dan realm and do not understand it. The special characteristic of the Dao Dan realm was that it could use the invisible power of the laws of the world. You had only broken through just now. You definitely have not experienced it yet. Xianxia had also heard Chu Hongqing say that if it was used together with the Dao mark, it would be even stronger, but he had never tried it before. I am Xianxia. Brother Xin is an expert in alchemy. You should be able to catch up to me soon. At that time we can have another round. Xianxia cupped his hands towards Xianxia. Wait a minute, it's fine if we're competing in a match. Are you worried that you'll beat me to death? Xianxia immediately pulled him. I am indeed worried about that. After all, you have just stepped into the Dao Dan realm, so you haven't even felt the power of the Dao Dan realm. Xianxia said, Let's give it a try. I won't die that easily. Xianxia hardened her heart to compare it with his. This way, I'll be able to deeply experience the power of the Dao Dan realm. All right, let's register there together. Seeing Xianxia being so persistent, Xianxia could only agree. He would never reject others. Xianxia and Xianxia came to the side of an old man's table. After they carried out the test, Xianxia was in the 2nd level of the Dao pellet, and there were 2 spots of light on the test crystal ball. You have just stepped into the 1st stage of Dao Dan realm? Are you sure you want to compete? The old man asked. Brother Xin just had a breakthrough, so he wants to test his strength. However, the rules here are quite strict. Xianxia laughed. The people here were all Dao Dan realm-s, they had sharp ears, and Xianxia could be considered a public figure, so many people quickly found out about this matter. Everyone secretly exclaimed in their hearts that with Xianxia's cultivation, he already possessed a peerless pill technique. If he became stronger in the future, his pill techniques would be terrible. Xianxia and Xianxia had a lot of conversations, and he faintly felt that this Xianxia was hiding something. Although he looked very ordinary and dressed very low-key, but from his words and actions, it could be seen that he was a very cultured person. From him, Xianxia found out that the Dao Dan realm could fuse with all of the divine deity. It would use the attribute power that the divine deity had cultivated before to connect with the power of the ancient code, and directly absorb the power of the ancient code to strengthen the power of the ancient code. If he had cultivated multiple types of attribute power previously, then when he reached the Dao Dan realm, the power of the ancient code he would receive would also be extremely chaotic. The power of the entire body would not be condensed because it would be difficult to gather all the different types of laws. Therefore, when cultivators with a specific cultivation attribute entered the Dao Dan realm, the power of law they cultivated would also be unique and would be stronger. Although Xianxia had condensed the most life-killing divine deity, this life-killing divine deity belonged to the fire attribute, and he did not have a lot of spatial divine deity, it only took up a small portion of it. Therefore, he believed that he wouldn't be so weak in absorbing the power of law in the future. There are only 5 matches left. Xianxia laughed. Brother Shun, you don't have to worry. I won't hurt you when the time comes. Of course, if I am careless and hurt you, please do not be too calculative. I do not want to lose a friend that I just made. Of course, I'm not that petty. Xianxia laughed. Brother Xin, do you know of a big city that is currently being built? Xianxia asked and then took out a map. When Xianxia saw the map, he knew that the city Xianxia was talking about was the one he had just bought a big house. It was the place where the 3 cities converged, and at that time it would be the center of the city. I just found out what happened. Xianxia took the map and looked at it, and realized that the map was even more detailed than what he had seen before. When the time comes, an even bigger competition ground will be built here. It can accommodate more people to watch. When the time comes, the 3 great native bank will even open a game of wager, using the victory or defeat of the battle as a bet. And the participating soldiers will also receive a very generous reward. Xianxia laughed. Of course, Brother Xin is an alchemist. Of course I wouldn't like that small amount of money. Brother Jiang, you will definitely not be interested in them. However, you will definitely attend. Xianxia laughed. Oh, you seem to know me very well. Xianxia laughed. Why are you so sure? You are a battle maniac. I have seen many battle maniacs like you, and I know them very well. Xianxia laughed. Leng Yulan was like that, he could tell from his eyes. Jiang Xian's eyes were filled with the light of battle, especially when he was looking at the stage. It was as though his blood was ignited. He could not wait to go up and fight. That's why I'm more worried about losing control of myself. Jiang Xian shook his head and laughed. Brother Jiang, how much do you know about Ning Quan? Xianxia was sure that this Jiang Xian came from a powerful force. Ning Quan from the Ning family at the 5th level of the Dao Dan realm. Amongst the few great families in the Eastern Wasteland, the Ning family is the strongest because there is one of the biggest sects in the Eastern Wasteland. Jiang Xian said, he practices many powerful cultivation techniques in the infinite divine mountain, so his overall strength is extremely strong. Then Xia Chaoyan is also from the infinite divine mountain. Xianxia asked, she and Ning Quan's master are junior brothers. No wonder. Xia Chaoyan is merely from the same generation as Ning Quan's master, and is not accepted by the same master. Xia Chaoyan is part of the limitless Pill Dao in the infinite divine mountain, while Ning Quan and his master are from the limitless battlefield of martial arts. So Ning Quan calling Xia Chaoyan master is only because of seniority. Jiang Xian slowly said. Xianxia was suddenly very interested in the infinite divine mountain, because Xia Chaoyan had some kind of pill technique. The reason she could concoct such a high-quality pill was definitely because of the secret technique inside the everlasting Dao pill. The limitless Pill Dao should be very strong, to be able to nurture a girl like Xia Chaoyan. Xianxia sighed. Xia Chaoyan is a very special woman. I heard that she was once a warrior of limitless, and then she turned into a cultivator of limitless Pill Dao. She was an expert in both alchemy and battle, but I am not too sure about her cultivation. In short, she is the stronger kind, otherwise she would not have been able to become one of the core members of Infinite Divine Mountain. Jiang Xian laughed. Brother Shen, your background is also very mysterious. Many of the great powers in the Eternal Life City are unable to find out your background, and your pill techniques are definitely above Xia Chaoyan's. If not, you would not have been that much ahead of her. According to my knowledge, among the alchemists who could defeat Xia Chaoyan, the highest number would be around 2,000 to 3,000, and you are also around this level. I don't have any background. I only came here to create my own reputation. Xianxia laughed bitterly. I just happened to stumble upon that profound pill technique by chance, and then I came up by myself. If that's really the case, then Brother Shen, you are much stronger than I imagined. Without a strong background, it would not be easy for you to walk over by yourself. Jiang Xian suddenly felt deep veneration for Xianxia, because he was very clear that it would not be easy for him to get into her place. It seems that I'm still too young. I underestimated Brother Shen. Jiang Xian laughed at himself because Xianxia was not as simple as he seemed to be. Actually, many people look down on me, especially my enemies. Xianxia laughed. And then, Jiang Xian asked, and then they died. Xianxia smiled faintly. Xianxia, Jiang Xian, it's your turn. The old man shouted. When they went up, they had already formed a blood contract. They were not allowed to seriously injure each other, and they were not allowed to kill. The fighting stage also had very good protective measures. It wouldn't be destroyed just because of that. After all, it was on top of a huge building. Weapons are not allowed to be used in combat. If you use weapons, you'll have to go through a special request because it's easier for you to die or injure yourself. Xianxia leveled up continuously and did not fight much during this period of time. The main reason was that he had refined many pills that could help in raising his cultivation, and in the first 2 stages of the Heavenly Dao realm, he had improved a lot as long as he had enough pills. Is everything ready? The old man asked. Xianxia and Jiang Xian nodded. Then let's begin, because this wasn't a life and death battle, and Xianxia and Jiang Xian could already be considered friends. They wouldn't be in a hurry to attack after this. Brother Shen, you can go first. Use your strongest power to attack me. Let me see what kind of power I will need to fight against you. Jiang Xian said. Xianxia took in a light breath and activated the Daoyuan immortal power. In just an instant, the vast amount of Daoyuan immortal power gushed out from this Dao pills, to the point that Xiang was amazed. Then you must be careful. Xiang did not use the Dao mark, but used the shrinking step to instantly dodge the attack. Jiang Xian saw Xiang just a moment ago, still in front of him, but had disappeared in the blink of an eye. When he was on guard, Xiang had already strangely arrived by his side. His fist had already struck over. Jiang Xian was caught off guard. He did not expect Xiang to be so fast. And Xiang's fists did not seem to be that simple either. He could only circulate his Daoyuan immortal power instantly to form a defensive wall to block Xiang's fists. However, Jiang Xian did not expect Xiang's fist to stop right in front of his wall of energy, and then burst out in a burst of red light. Xiang did not plan to attack Jiang Xian directly from the distance. Instead, he used his meteor immortal power and pierced through the air. With a boom, Jiang Xian's strength wall shattered and the entire stage shook for a moment. However, the power of the meteor immortal power did not disappear as it charged towards Jiang Xian, while bringing along the remaining shockwaves. The wall of power Jiang Xian had just released gave him some time to react. He had already activated his own Daoyuan immortal power, so when the aftershocks of the meteor immortal power surged towards him, he dispersed it with a palm strike. Jiang Xian is not at the first stage of the Dao Dan realm. Yang Xiangyin said, "That's right. If it was an ordinary first stage Dao Dan realm, he would have died just now." Chu Hongqing nodded. The two of them had high cultivation, so they were able to see through this point. Jiang Xian laughed. "Brother Shen, you're not bad at all. I have underestimated you." "Then you must be more serious." After Xiang finished speaking, the shrinking step walked away and mysteriously arrived behind Jiang Xian. Just as Jiang Xian was about to counterattack, he felt his body being wrapped by many fire vines. It was Xiang's usual move. He released a very strong Daoyuan immortal power, and after wrapping Jiang Xian up, he threw out a punch. The flame on his fist burned and turned into a dragon head, releasing waves of roars, and just as it was about to hit Jiang Xian, his body suddenly shone with a red light, producing an extremely powerful shockwave. Xiang's fist wind had been scattered. He was forced to take more than 10 steps back. The fire vine on Jiang Xian's body had been shaken to the point of disappearing without a trace. Xiang was shocked. This Jiang Xian was strong indeed. When he was pushed back just now, Jiang Xian had also launched a fierce attack. This guy cultivates lightning and oscillating elemental energy. Xiang saw that Jiang Xian's body was covered in lightning, and when he flew, both of his feet stepped on the ground, causing waves of shockwaves, and this invisible shockwave was aimed straight at Xiang. What a strong vibration power! Xiang wanted to dodge, but he realized that he couldn't avoid the energy that was enveloping him. Even if he used his own energy, he would be scattered by the shockwave. As for Jiang Xian, he was not affected by the shock himself. It could be seen that he used the power of the shock laws. This guy is really good at it. Xiang saw Jiang Xian's fist strike towards him, and the extremely terrifying thunder power that was contained within it. So he immediately channeled his heavenly vision technique, cloud and sky phenomenon. The fist was only aimed at Xiang's left shoulder. It did not hit his vitals. Jiang Xian originally thought that he could defeat Xiang with one punch, but when his fist touched Xiang's left shoulder, he realized that Xiang's left shoulder had suddenly split apart like mist. At this time, Xiang had also used the Daoyuan immortal power to force the shockwave back. He had used the shrinking step to leave Jiang Xian, and the arm that he had dodged earlier had also returned to normal. "Is this a heavenly Dao divine ability?" Jiang Xian exclaimed. "This, right?" Xiang did not expect the sacred art to be so rare. The people below also exclaimed in surprise, as if they had never seen this sacred art before. "All right, I want to finish this battle quickly." After Jiang Xian finished speaking, the entire stage suddenly started to shake. Xiang only felt himself being pushed forward by an invisible wave. Jiang Xian was sweating profusely. It could be seen that he had used a very strong vibrating power, and it was controlling the shockwave as well, sending Xiang flying very gently. Seeing that Xiang wanted to resist, he released a few lightning bolts at him. Xiang never thought that Xianxia would be so terrifying, especially that type of shaking power. Now that he understood the difference between the first and second stage of Dao Dan realm, the strength of the ancient code which was to be grasped at the second stage was even stronger. In just a few blinks of the eye, Xiang was pushed out of the arena, which could be considered as his victory. I haven't gotten used to it yet, Xiang said as his mouth twitched. Xianxia walked down the stage, gave Xiang a glance, and then walked towards the stairs. Xiang followed him. Xianxia's expression was extremely solemn, and it was very obvious that something was amiss. Xiang felt that it was because of his kind of sacred art. When he suddenly thought about the four great taboo magic, it was very likely that it was something from this era, and it seemed to be related to some kind of taboo. Xianxia had a separate house here. After bringing Xiang in, he said solemnly, Xiang, it would be best for you to use fewer divine powers. Xiang asked Xianxia the entire way, but Xianxia did not speak. Only now did he finally say such a thing. Why? Xiang asked. Others might not know, but I am very clear on which power is the sacred art you used just now. I also don't know why you know how to use it, but it is extremely dangerous. Xianxia said. He was also afraid that if he continued to attack Xiang's abilities would become even more obvious. Which power? Xiang asked. Heaven Shadow Sect. Xianxia said. They are a great power in the Black Wasteland. They are in the Lifeless City. Xiang immediately frowned. The heavenly transformation art was used by him from the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, so he was sure that the heavenly body technique was used by the Heaven Shadow Sect. Xiang felt that it wouldn't be long before he would know the origin of the four great taboo magic, especially the heavenly alchemy. All right, I won't use it again if I have to. Xiang rarely used it in front of everyone, and the heavenly alchemy was extremely secretive. That's good. Of course, what you're using is not too obvious. Even if the heavenly shadow sect knows about it, they wouldn't suspect anything. If you ask them, just name any of your abilities. Xianxia said. But if they knew, you would still get into a lot of trouble at that time. You better find the native bank to settle things. No conflicts are allowed here, and the Heaven's Shadow Sect will not do anything. I'll go back first. Our Zhang family will hold a convention here soon, mainly to celebrate the birthday of my grandfather. Xianxia laughed. When the time comes, I'll come find you and bring you along. All right. Xiang smiled and nodded. He never thought that the Jiang clan's patriarch would be so young, just 10,000 years old. Xiang felt that he was even older than the other party. Xiang was not happy during his journey out of Xianxia's house, because he could have just fought to his heart's content. He looked at the building in Eternal Life Native Bank, and in the end he gave up. Young Master Shen, there's someone looking for you. It seems to be something important. Just as Xiang entered the Immortal restaurant, the shopkeeper ran over the moment he saw him and took out a piece of communication jade symbol paper, handing it over to him. Xiang took the communication jade symbol paper, and when he checked it with his spirit sense, he heard a familiar cold voice. I'm at the Immortal restaurant. Is it convenient for me to see you now? The voice belonged to Xiaoyan. It's convenient. Do you want me to go and find you? Or do you want to come and find me? Xiang asked. I'm already outside your door, Xiaoyan replied. Xiang immediately entered the teleportation room and teleported to his floor. He saw Xiaoyan wearing a white dress, but he did not ask, and only opened the door and let Xiaoyan in. What is it? Xiang knew that Xiaoyan was a straightforward person. Although he may seem cold, it wasn't difficult to communicate with her. She had nothing to say, and even spoke it very simply. Are you willing to join our boundless pill Dao? Xiaoyan asked. I don't want to, Xiang replied immediately. Although the pill techniques in the limitless pill Dao were also very profound, he already had the heavenly alchemy in his body for all of eternity. Seeing that Xiang had rejected him so decisively, Xiaoyan drank the tea poured for him and got up to leave. Xiang immediately shouted out, Hey, you're leaving now? Aren't you going to stay and chat? Even though I defeated you last time, you don't have to look at me with such hatred. Xiaoyan still looked after himself as he walked towards the door and said, I don't hate you. Otherwise I wouldn't have come looking for you. Xianxia laughed. Since you're already here, why don't you sit down and chat? At the very least, I need to know the benefits of my joining the limitless pill Dao. Xiaoyan walked back again. She was not very good at communicating, and she was the kind of person who liked to live a simple and crude life. After Xiaoyan sat down, he asked, "Have you joined any other sects? Who is your master?" Xiang poured another cup of tea for her and said, "No, I have always been a lone wolf. My master does not refine pills, and if I say it out loud, you are not him either." Xiaoyan said, "Then why don't you join the limitless pill Dao? Alchemist has never interacted with people before. It would be better if you get together with them." Xiang shook his head. "I am an alchemist who cannot sit still, moreover. I frequently interact with others. If you have understood me before, you would understand." "Oh right, you still haven't answered me. What benefits would there be for me to join the boundless pill Dao? Why are you inviting me?" Xiaoyan replied, "I've already answered you. I just don't want you to join any other sects. Even though I don't interact much with the outside world, I know that this Octoterra is very complicated." Xiang thought about it, and she had indeed answered the question just now. It was because she felt that the alchemists should be together, and that was the benefit of joining the limitless alchemy Dao. "How much do you know about the boundless pill Dao?" Xiang asked again. "I have already mastered all the infinite Dan method, but how much I can comprehend depends on me, so I need to communicate with the alchemist," Xiaoyan said. Xiang's mind flashed with enlightenment, and he laughed. "You and the other alchemists definitely cannot communicate much. If not, you would not have come to find me." "Yes," Xiaoyan said. "How about this, you pass the infinite Dan method to me, how about this, I'm too lazy to join the limitless pill Dao." Xiang laughed. "My comprehension ability is very strong. Maybe I can give you an unexpected surprise. Do you think that's possible? Letting me pass down the precious infinite Dan method to you is impossible, unless you join the limitless pill Dao. Even if you join, you would have to pass the examination to be able to obtain the infinite Dan method's inheritance." Xiaoyan said coldly. "Then forget it. To be honest, I'm just rather curious about the infinite Dan method. As for my own alchemy skills, they are way better than yours. I really don't think much of it." Xiang shrugged and smiled faintly. Xiaoyan stood up and said, "Let's stop talking here. Thank you for the tea." Xiang laughed mischievously. "If you did not rely on that wooden pill furnace last time, the quality of the Dao mark Dan you refined would have been even lower. You don't need to rely on that pill furnace of yours. The quality of the pills you refine will be even lower." Xiaoyan snorted. "Don't think that I don't know your refining methods. I can roughly guess that you used the collision method to improve your quality. Of course, I only have a rough understanding of it, and the operation process is definitely very complicated. It requires a large amount of experience and alchemy to improve it. Your continuous movements were caused by the collision of the extremely powerful medicinal liquid. If you didn't have the protection of the pill furnace, it would have been impossible for you to succeed. So don't joke with me for relying on that wooden pill furnace." Xiang laughed. I am not. If I have your cultivation level now, I can use any pill furnace. I don't even need a pill furnace. I can produce the same quality as that day." Xiang was also shocked at Xiaoyan's capabilities. To be able to see through his skills, it was definitely not an easy feat. "I don't believe it," Xiaoyan snorted. "That kind of collision would take a lot of effort even with a strong power to restrict it, and when you started condensing your pills later on, you must have used something else to assist you. I don't believe that you can compress such a high-quality medicinal liquid with just your strength alone." Xiang had indeed used a 6 realms mirrors as support from the back. He did not expect that Xiaoyan had also guessed this. "How about this, you use an ordinary pill furnace to refine a batch of Dao Mark Dan, and I don't need a furnace to refine a batch of Dao Mark Dan. I know that the quality will definitely not be as high as the one we competed in the other day, but this way, we will be able to see through our true abilities, and I will admit that I relied on things to assist me in order to succeed. Of course, although the pill that I have refined is of the highest quality, it is still a failed product." Xiang laughed. Xianxia was bored now and wanted to find some fun. Furthermore, he had broken through the Dao Dan realm, so he felt that it would be much easier to refine pills than last time. Last time, after Xianxia and Xiaoyan's competition was over, Xiaoyan still wanted to compete with Xianxia, but he was rejected by him. Now, of course, Xiaoyan was very willing. We won't bet. Moreover, regardless of who wins or loses, we won't reveal it to the public. Xianxia laughed. All right. Xiaoyan was also secretly excited. She wanted to see why Xianxia didn't use his pill furnace to concoct pills, and how she could see Xianxia concocting pills more directly this way. Xianxia brought Xiaoyan into a secret room. Xiaoyan was not worried that Xianxia had plotted against her. Her cultivation was extremely high, and even if Xianxia used all of his tricks, he would still not be able to defeat her. On the other hand, Xianxia was a little worried that Xiaoyan would do something to him. Xiaoyan and Xianxia had used good herbs during the competition, unlike the previous time when using abandoned herbs. Miss Xie, have you heard of Qingyuan Dan? Xianxia asked. I heard that you used more than 1 billion to buy the Qingyuan Dan's pill formula a while back. Right, what a fool. If you had met me earlier, I could have given the pill formula to you. All right, Xiaoyan said. Xianxia's mouth twitched a few times, then laughed. I know a lot of people think I'm stupid, but I think it's worth it. You'll know in the future. Look at this pill furnace. This is my worst pill furnace. Xiaoyan pushed a pill furnace in front of Xianxia. Xianxia took a look and said, It is a pretty good pill furnace. As long as it is not that wooden pill furnace, it will definitely be very convenient for you. Humph, are you really planning on not using a pill furnace? Although I can use a pill furnace to concoct pills, I don't dare to use it during a competition, Xiaoyan said. If I can't use my 2 best pill furnaces, I can use the other one. Xianxia laughed. His heavenly furnace was also not bad. If he used a heavenly furnace, he would think that he had cheated. Seeing Xianxia being so serious and confident, Xiaoyan said, If I lose to you like this, I will pass down the infinite Dan method to you. But you must promise that you won't tell anyone else. Otherwise, Infinite Divine Mountain will take my life. So serious, Xianxia said in shock. I heard that you hold a very high position in the Infinite Divine Mountain. So what? Sometimes, Infinite Divine Mountain's actions are extremely heartless. It's because I can't tolerate the limitless battle Dao that I switched to the limitless pill Dao. Right now, the limitless pill Dao is pretty good, but after committing a mistake, Infinite Divine Mountain will still do the same to you. Xiaoyan said. Xianxia had heard Xianxia talk about Xiaoyan before, so that was how it was. You are too unkind. To actually want to invite me to a place like the Infinite Divine Mountain, do you want to harm me? Xianxia laughed. Don't worry. If you really enter the Infinite Divine Mountain, I definitely won't let you suffer inside, Xiaoyan said. If the Infinite Divine Mountain didn't have a fellow like Ningquan, I would still consider it. Ningquan, this bastard, makes me very uncomfortable, so I wouldn't be in the same sect as him. Xianxia curled his lips. Miss Xie. Just as Xianxia said these 3 words, he was interrupted. Just call me Qiao Qiao. But only when there's no one else, Xiaoyan said. And for some reason, Xianxia suddenly felt that she was not as cold as before. Xiaoyan, you're actually not as difficult to get along with as the rumors say. Xianxia laughed. I'm not that difficult to get along with anyway. It's just that I grew up in a bad environment. That's why I look like this. Xiaoyan was not afraid to talk about his own ice-cold situation. Do you have any equipment for testing quality? Xianxia wanted to ask something just now. Yes, it's about the same as the one on the previous test. Very accurate. Xiaoyan said. Maybe it was because Xianxia had defeated her, which was why she had allowed Xianxia to call her Qiao Qiao, since other people did not have such treatment. She did this because she wanted to get more familiar with Xianxia, because Xianxia was an alchemist that deserved her respect. She wasn't stupid like him, who clearly knew of his potential. Now the 2 of them began to refine pellets. The most important part of refining Dao Markdan was connecting them to the spirit grain. During the competition, this process had to be done very quickly. Xianxia used the magic method furnace to refine it. This was also the biggest challenge he faced since he used the magic method furnace to refine the pellet, because he wanted to use the magic method furnace to refine the two crashes. At the beginning, when Xianxia released the flames, she quickly refined all the medicinal ingredients, and shone with a light unique to medicinal ingredients. This kind of colorful light enveloped the entire secret room, causing Xianxia to exclaim in surprise again and again. Because Xianxia had already guessed that she would use crash method, Xianxia was not afraid of being seen by her, because she could also see the process of the collision. She did not have the method of heavenly alchemy, so she did not know the process of the collision. Very quickly, Xianxia used the pattern refining method to refine the spirit grain out of the 3 herbs, and very quickly he refined it into a whole. So fast! Xianxia couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. It was obvious that she couldn't do it so quickly herself, and her heart was itching to know how Xianxia did it. Of course, Xianxia would not tell her, even though their relationship was pretty good. "Is it about to start?" Xianxia asked. She was currently concocting her own pill, but she was more concerned about the process of Xianxia concocting the pill. It was extremely mysterious to her. This was Xianxia defeating her secret. She wanted to see how she was defeated. It's about to start. Prepare your defenses to prevent me from losing control," Xianxia said in a serious tone, and then took a deep breath. Suddenly, a pattern appeared on his palm. It was the pattern of the Black Tortoise Dao. The Black Tortoise Dao mark had the power of spatial defense. He activated the Dao mark and released a translucent little black tortoise that enveloped the magic method furnace. This allowed the magic method furnace to block the shockwave released by the magic method furnace through spatial isolation. Otherwise, the immortal building would shake. Power of space. This is Black Tortoise Dao mark. Xianxia was even more shocked now. In her eyes, people who had the heavenly beast Dao mark were all terrifying figures in legends. Xianxia had already divided the ball of medicinal liquid into 8 balls and poured it into his strongest Daoyuan immortal power, causing the ball of medicinal liquid to become even stronger. Then, he would use the heavenly alchemy's method to quickly refine it and assimilate the power of his own Daoyuan immortal power and medicinal liquid. "It's about to begin." After Xianxia finished speaking, he let out a low snort, and veins began to bulge on his forehead. Amongst the magic method furnace, the 8 balls of medicinal liquid around the side of the pill furnace suddenly turned into 8 bolts of lightning, rushing towards the middle of the pill furnace. At the moment of intense collisions, an extremely strong blinding light exploded from the center. Xianxia tried her best to open her eyes. She did not want to miss a single moment. It was only a crash. Xianxia was still very proficient with it. He had frequently refined it in the past, and now that he was using the Dao Dan realm, he could completely control it. Because of the spatial defense power of the Black Tortoise Dao mark, there was no sound and no aftershock.